Message and data rates may apply or consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Call pound 250 with the word CARE to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Call pound 250 with the word CARE right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Call pound 250 with the word CARE. That's pound 250 with the word CARE. Pound 250 and CARE.
Fire Eyes Media.
When Devon Goodrick vanished from Langley, British Columbia suddenly, the circumstances surrounding his disappearance puzzled and haunted his family and the community. So let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Truly Twisted. As always, I'm your host, Alicia Watson, and every Thursday I will be bringing you a true and twisted story that is always victim-focused and fact-based. Thank you so much for being here, and remember to leave a 5-star rating and review if you enjoy the show. It really is the best way to help me reach new audiences. And I'm excited to announce that today's episode is a listener suggestion, so thank you so much, Brianna. I will also say that this case is extremely close to home for me, and it is haunting to think of what could have happened to Devon. But let's start with what we do know. On September 25th, 2021, 26-year-old Devon Goodrick suddenly disappeared from the Langley, Surrey border in British Columbia. These are both cities just outside of Vancouver, known as the area's downtown, and around a 30 to 40 minute drive. That saying, they are not small cities, but they are much smaller than the main downtown core. Devon was supposed to meet with his family, his mom, his dad, and his sister, for a get-together, but he never arrived. He was last seen near 3:30 in the morning in the area of 192nd Street and 28th Avenue, according to CCTV footage. In fact, that's how the timeline of events is really put together after their last contact with him. His parents filed a missing persons report when they had still not heard from him, but it wasn't like him to not show up. He and his family were incredibly close, and they were worried. The last contact that they had with Devon was via Snapchat message on the evening of September 24th, which showed him in a vehicle with 3 other people. Quote, "I would like to rely upon people that know these people that are out in the community that they can't be named, and they have come forward and give information to open this case up, so that the family can start to get closure in some ways." This was according to Devon's father, Nicholas, to Global News. Apparently, the family has been told information about these people and Devon's past, but no one has elaborated any further. Devon's disappearance is considered high risk, and the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team took over the case in October of 2021. Devon's father continued, "We need the community to really focus on those that know Devon Goodrick. He was no member of society that is kicking in doors and being a gang member. He was a targeted member of society, and he had my heart. My life since September 25th has been a roller coaster. It's like I'm on a hamster wheel. I've got depression, I've got trauma, I've got anxiety, I've got anger, I've got help from my family, my community, and my friends. And I've been helped by a psychologist and my doctor to help in any way they can with sleep disorders and depression. He said that every day is torture and his family needs help to solve this case. Weeks passed, then months, and now years, and there is still no sign of Devon, and it doesn't appear to be any closer to this case being solved. The police have appealed to the public for any information, urging anyone who might have seen anything unusual in the area that night to come forward, but no one had any new information to offer, and Devon's family has held on to hope, but the uncertainty of the situation has begun to take a toll on all of them. In fact, just recently at the end of 2024, Devon's sister Nikki started a GoFundMe to help fund the family's investigation of their own, and she had a lot to say on the story side of the GoFundMe page. Now, I did reach out to Nikki and was unable to get a hold of her for this episode, but I felt that that would be a good point of contact to share, and to share the page itself if you have any extra means of supporting this family. But I am going to read you the blurb of what they know happened and what their mission is now. I am going to bleep out the names that she's included as they aren't widely shared in news sources, but if you would like to see that for yourself and you are a local in the area, you can absolutely visit that page. My goal of this podcast is just not to slander anyone, but I do want to support where I can. For 3 long years, I've stayed silent, holding back the truth about my brother Devon's murder, to protect the integrity of the investigation, hoping that the justice system would do its job. At the beginning of Devon's disappearance, my family and I were ready to hire a private investigator to help find answers. But the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team assured us that that wouldn't be necessary. They told us that they had everything under control. Trusting their expertise, we took a step back, believing that justice would come for Devon. But now, after all this time, the case remains unsolved, and the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team has stopped contact with us, ignoring critical leads because they don't want to jump through hoops. In the years since Devon's death, our lives have been shattered. We missed over a year of work, not just because we were grieving, but because we were investigating our own loved one's murder. Sleepless nights became our new normal, and we organized rallies, gathered evidence, and desperately make sense of a reality that we will never see Devon again. He was the glue that held our family together, and every day we've had to learn to live without him. The system was supposed to protect us, and it's failed us in every way. The opportunity to act immediately with a private investigator has now passed, and sadly, my family has been struggling ever since. Financially, it's been a difficult catch-up after taking so much time away from work to mourn and grieve and fight for answers. That's why we're asking you for help now. We need your support to hire a private investigator and gather evidence that the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team has overlooked, so that we can finally get justice for my brother. Here is Devon's story as we know it. On Friday, September 24th, 2021, Devon returned home from a work trip. He went to grab some beer at a liquor store near his house, and that's when he bumped into and I received a Snapchat from him with them, and I had a bad feeling come over me instantly. Had just gotten out of jail for a violent offense, and Devon hadn't spoken to them in years. I offered to pay for an Uber to bring him to me, but Devon told me not to worry. He said that they were old friends and that they were just going to go play pool. By the next morning, Devon was missing. No one had seen or heard from him, and desperate, I started reaching out to people close to would even give me his number. Even at the time, though, none of us knew what happened to Devon, but they seemed like they already did. When I was finally able to track down, he was shaking, staring at the ground, and claiming that he was so drunk that he couldn't remember anything. He took us to the spot where Devon supposedly got out of the car, but I could tell that he was lying. Alex was my good friend's cousin, and I was around him growing up. I started getting into his head, asking if he remembered the games that we used to play. He started crying and said, "I didn't know it was your brother." My heart sank. Later, when I spoke to Again, his mother had convinced him not to say anything, repeatedly changing her story to protect him. But this time, I also filed a police report and took it to Facebook stating that my brother is missing and he was last seen with these 3 individuals. My inbox became flooded with messages from people saying that had been telling everyone he would kill my brother if he saw him. I eventually found out where was staying and confronted him, begging him for answers about Devon's whereabouts. Claimed to have dropped Devon off in the middle of nowhere near 192nd and 28th with a dead phone. His mother, realizing the gravity of the situation, spoke up saying, "Why were you cleaning your vehicle so thoroughly Saturday morning?" That's when girlfriend at the time, Mackenzie, jumped in and tried to cover for them, saying that they had cleaned the vehicle the week before and that mother was mistaken. My heart sank, and I knew at that point that Devon wasn't coming back. A few days later, I met with one of his friends had reached out to me and said that he would allow me to see, but just me alone. He picked me up, he made me put my phone on the dashboard where he could see it, and chose the spot. He was dressed in all black, wearing a mask, a hood, and with his hand in his waistband like he had a gun. I begged him for an hour to tell me where Devon's body was, but he showed no emotion and no remorse. The only time I saw a reaction was when I told him, "You didn't just take my brother's life. You took your little brother's life by involving him in this." What made everything worse was how much evidence there was and how little the police did with it. I learned that his mother had also been cleaning the car Devon was last seen in, using bleach and pine sol late into the night. That car was later found burnt to the ground, and all of their stories didn't match. The only part that stayed consistent was that they were all at A&W, but the reasons for why Devon supposedly got out of the car changed every time. I even found footage of Devon alive with them at A&W, which proved his family was lying when they said that he was at home in bed. At this point, I had no more leads than the police, and I'm not the one trained to investigate murders. Another critical piece of evidence was Devon's Snapchat. Moments before his phone pinged for the last time, he saved a video of himself in the car with I believe my brother knew what was about to happen to him, and that's why he saved the video. Then, about a month after Devon went missing, a man came forward. He had been in the car with them the day before Devon disappeared, and he said that they were looking for my brother to kill him. He said that he saw Devon's missing posters and realized that they had followed through with their plan. He gave a full statement to the police, but even with all of this evidence, no one has been interrogated or arrested. At one point, he called me from jail saying that he wanted to come clean. He told me that had been looking for Devon and they used to get him in the car. After driving and drinking for a while, Devon got out to pee, and that's when shot him in the back of the head. They left, came back to drag his body to a ditch, left again, and eventually returned to put him in the back of the car. They drove towards Kamloops, British Columbia, found a wooded area, and left him in the forest. Gave this exact story to the police, and still no one was held accountable. My family and I have done everything we can. We've even tracked down the location where Devon's phone last pinged. But despite all of this, the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team has told us that they've reached a dead end. For 3 years, we've put our faith in the justice system only to be met with silence and inaction. It feels like a monkey could figure this out, but our trained homicide investigators either can't or won't. I'm done staying quiet. I'm done waiting for a system that protects criminals over victims. If anyone knows what more we can do to find justice for Devon, please help us. We need changes to the laws so that families like mine can get justice even without a body. This system is teaching people that they can get away with murder if they hide the body well enough. My family and I'm going to cry. My family and I are still waiting for answers, and I refuse to let Devon's story be forgotten. 2 weeks ago, just over 2 days before the anniversary of Devon's death, we came face to face with his killers. They were sitting in a cab as we approached, and immediately they tried to get the driver to speed away. Started threatening me, gripping his bag like he had a gun, and telling me, "You don't want trouble with me. You're not about this life." But I wasn't scared. I stood my ground and I told him, "Go ahead, shoot me in broad daylight in front of everyone. Maybe then they'll finally take another look at my brother's case." He got out of the cab, and in a moment of frustration and anger, I threw my coffee at him. The police detained him, but he was released just down the street not long after. What kind of world are we living in where families like mine have to put their lives on hold and on the line just to seek justice for their loved ones? Any donation to help us hire a private investigator could bring us closer to finding the answers and accountability that we've been fighting for. So thank you in advance for your support. And this was again written by Nikki Goodrick. I will share the GoFundMe page in the show notes as a resource for today's episode because, as you can probably tell, none of this information is in any of the traditional news documents that I've used for my sources. But I did feel like it was important to add that piece because Devon's family has been through enough. They deserve answers. And from what it sounds like in the investigation, other than the integrated homicide investigation team getting involved, everything sounds like a disappearance. And I understand that you can't call it murder until there is concrete evidence of murder. And if they haven't been able to find Devon's body, I can understand why they're not necessarily making that connection. But I understand even more the Goodrick's family frustrations. Devon's father is also offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the discovery of his son. Devon is described as Caucasian, 26 years old. He's 6'4" and weighs approximately 250 pounds. He has brown hair, green eyes, and light facial hair. He was last seen wearing a full black Hugo Boss tracksuit with a blue stripe down the middle. If you have any information about the disappearance or likely murder of Devon Goodrick, no matter how small it may seem, please contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or contact the Langley RCMP at 604-532-3200. And if you have any means to help the Goodrick family in their private investigation, I have shared the GoFundMe page. I myself will be donating. And if Nikki Goodrick does get in touch with me to do a follow-up interview, I would love to have her. But that is where I'm going to leave the case for today. It's truly haunting how many stories like this have unfolded, where it does really feel like the legal system favors criminals over victims. It was said in episode 4 when I covered Justine Vandershoot. That's exactly how her family feels in all of this. But I will just say, if you enjoyed this week's episode, please again remember to leave those 5 stars. And if you like the show, recommend it to somebody that you think may enjoy it. I hope that Devon's family gets the answers that they are looking for and can finally find peace. And remember, you are wanted, you are loved, and you deserve to be here. And I will see you next week. Truly Twisted is a proud production of Fire Eyes Media, a woman-owned and operated network. This show is hosted, researched, and edited by me, Alicia Watson, and I would love if you would email me any case suggestions or comments you may have at alicia@fireeyesmedia.com.
Fire Eyes Media.